So let's talk about concealer on a deeper skin tone. I've got Maria here with me today, and she has told me that she struggles with her dark circles. Tell me about them.
So I am not very savvy with makeup. I have a drugstore bought concealer in my drawer, and whenever I don't want to do a full face, I just spot a little bit of it under my dark circles and just sponge it a little bit. But I also noticed that my under eyes get really dry. So I don't know if it's from how close to my eyelashes I'm putting it or how I'm patting it down. Usually I just try to do like tea bags or like eye cream to help with the dark circles.
Cool.
But overall, I don't know what I'm doing.
Totally fine. I am here to help you. I love the idea of utilizing tea bags. A lot of times the caffeine from the tea bags is what's going to constrict your blood vessels, and sometimes it helps. It definitely helps with swelling. A lot of times, though, it is a hard struggle to get rid of dark circles. That's where the beauty and magic of makeup comes in. So let's address some of them. Maria's got a deeper complexion, so we're going to find that her under eye circles shift a little bit of a different color. Mine, because I've got more fair skin, are going to be a bit more blue and purple undertone. With Maria, we're going to see a little bit more gray, actually. The deeper you go with your skin tone, sometimes you'll see a little bit of maroon, depending upon what undertones you have in your skin. Gray happens a lot. So we're going to be working to kind of combat that with a little bit of color theory. Right off the bat, you will think about color theory as in your blue or purple undertones are going to be counterbalanced with orange. If we go to a color wheel, you'll see that they're on opposite sides of the color wheel. When you use these two colors over the top of each other, they cancel each other out. They're complementary colors. Now, Maria doesn't necessarily have blue undertones, but she does have a tiny little bit of purple, which tends to shift ever so slightly gray. So to me, this is kind of like a taupey purpley gray color, which orange is going to do a really great job at combating. So we'll start with that. For Maria's skin tone, as I had mentioned, we're going to do a bit of orange, but we're also going to mix in the slightest bit of yellow to help facilitate the blending of her natural skin tone. She's got a lot of beautiful yellow and gold in her skin. As I had mentioned in previous videos, there are a lot of great products out on the market that are concealer palettes with color correctors involved. So if you see any of those, it tends to be 4 to 6 different colors put together in a small palette, and then there'll be shades of like bright golden yellow or orange that are great to utilize for color correction in these situations. So I'm gonna take my color, and I'm using a flat brush, and we're going to place specifically just in these areas where she has her discoloration. All right, we can tell that she's got it just in the inner corner a little bit, closer to her lash line. Just a bit out at the outer edge of her eye. And then ever so slightly in the interior right here. So we'll place that. And as Maria had mentioned that her eyes get a little dry, very close to the lash line, instead of using a drier product in this moment, we're using a concealer that's a little bit more creamy. So this is something that can be shifted depending upon how your skin reacts. If you tend to have drier skin, you'll want to go with a creamier product. If you tend to have a very moisturized or oily skin, you can go with something that's a bit drier. A lot of times you're not going to have an excess of oil in your under eye area just because you have less oil glands in that area. But if it can tolerate a drier concealer, it's usually better to use your drier concealer as a color corrector. And we're really wanting to keep that color correction very much in these areas of intense color. So anywhere we've got the intense blue or dark circle color is where we'll place our color correction. Now I'm going to take a clean brush and I'm just going to press this product into the skin. I'm not blending, but we're just pressing because we want to take off any excess product before we layer over our concealer. A nice, clean, dense brush is going to help with this. It also helps take off any excess, so you're gonna avoid any creasing in the area. As Maria mentioned that her eyes are a little bit dry near her lash line, we're gonna use a really beautiful creamy concealer that's got good coverage. So it's a moderate coverage product, but something that you can build. So if you feel like you need a little extra coverage, you can add thin layers on top of each other to build that coverage. I love this because it tends to be a very creamy concealer with decent coverage abilities, and it never moves. So we'll take a nice concealer brush and just press, starting low and then working our way upwards. Starting low and in the center of her eye, working up towards her lash line. And we're pressing the product in. We are not blending just yet. We're placing our product. And then once we have it placed where we like it, we can go back through and blend. And you can see as I apply my product, I take product from my hand where it's been nice and warmed, and I go directly to her skin. I don't usually place my product directly at the lower lash line, as this is an area that moves a lot on the eyes, and so you will have a tendency, if you over apply, the tendency will be for the concealer to crease. Look up for me. And now we'll take a clean brush and just work to blend these areas. Pressing the product in, taking any excess off while we press. And then out at the edges, we can just buff that product into the skin to blend it. Turn for me. Do we see a difference? So let's move on to the other side. Again, we're gonna pick up our color corrector in that yellow-orange mix that we created. With our flat brush, our product is only on one side of the brush. We'll focus this color corrector just in these areas where she's got her discoloration. Not too much. We still want to see a little skin underneath. That tells you that you haven't over applied your product. And I'm placing this anywhere I see any darkness. A little bit here just at the inner corner. Beautiful. So we're gonna take our clean blending brush and we're just going to press this brush into those areas that we applied the color corrector. Perfect. Now we don't have too much color corrector on, which is exactly where we want to be, and now we can move into applying the actual concealer. On this side, I utilized my brush. On the opposite side, I'll press in the product with my fingertip. I love to use the pad of my finger also just to press in that product. I'm starting lower and then just very slowly pressing up to her lash line. Into the inner corner, towards the outer corner. You can really work either way with your finger or with a brush if you have one that you like to use. Either way is totally fine, but you'll just want a brush to be able to blend with. So we'll grab our blending brush and just very delicately blend the outer edges of our concealer placement and then slowly work into the inner corner and closer to her lash line. Adding just a slight bit if we feel the need. And pressing that product into the skin. We press it, and then as we move outwards, we buff and we blend. This is a great way too at the outer edges, if you've got your eyeshadow on already like Maria has. This is a really great way to structure the eyes. Look straight for me. This is a really great way to structure the eye in an upward motion if you'd like a little lift in your eye makeup. Perfect, beautiful. You look like you've just had the most wonderful 24 hours worth of sleep.
That's the goal. And you just achieved it.